What would you do if the only way to save someone you love was to break every rule you'd ever known? In the heart of a crumbling city, where neon lights flickered over broken dreams, 12-year-old Kofi lived in a world that seemed to have forgotten him. His home was a one-room shack with a leaking roof, shared with his younger sister, Amara, who was only 7. Their parents were long gone, lost to a car accident that left Kofi as Amara's protector. Hunger was their constant companion, gnawing at their bones, but Amara's cough persistent, wet, and worsening terrified Kofi more than any empty stomach. The medicine she needed cost more than he could ever scrape together from scavenging or odd jobs. Desperation has a way of rewriting right and wrong. Kofi's days were spent dodging danger in the city's underbelly, but his nights were for Amara telling her stories of hope, of a future where they'd have full bellies and warm beds. Yet, as her cough grew into a fever that burned her small frame, Kofi knew stories wouldn't save her. He needed money, and he needed it now. The city's wealthiest man, billionaire Victor Langston, lived in a glass tower that pierced the skyline, a symbol of untouchable wealth. Kofi had seen Langston once, stepping out of a sleek black car, his tailored suit gleaming under the sun. To Kofi, he was a king in a castle, and kings had treasures. One humid evening, Kofi slipped into the shadows near Langston's penthouse. His heart pounded as he scaled a service ladder, his small hands trembling but resolute. He didn't want to steal, had been taught better, but Amara's shallow breaths echoed in his mind. Inside, the penthouse was a maze of opulence. Marble floors, gold-trimmed furniture, and a velvet box on a table that caught his eye. Inside was a watch, its diamonds glinting like stars. Kofi grabbed it, his pulse racing, and fled into the night. But the world doesn't let boys like Kofi slip away unnoticed. Langston's security system was ruthless: cameras, alarms, and guards who moved like wolves. Kofi was caught before he reached the alley's end, the watch confiscated, his wrists bound. He expected cruelty, maybe a beating, but what came next was the first twist. Langston himself arrived, not in a suit but in a plain sweater, his face unreadable. Instead of calling the police, he asked, "Why did you do it?" Kofi, voice shaking, spilled everything: Amara, the medicine, the hunger. Langston listened, silent, his eyes narrowing not in anger, but in something Kofi couldn't name. Then came the second surprise. A woman stepped forward from the shadows of Langston's entourage. She was older, her face lined with grief, and she introduced herself as Maya, Langston's sister. "I was like your Amara once," she said softly. "Sick, poor, forgotten. Victor saved me." Kofi's heart stuttered. The billionaire wasn't just a cold tycoon. He'd once been a boy like Kofi, scraping by, stealing to survive. Maya's words shifted the air, and Langston's next move was unthinkable. He didn't press charges. Instead, he handed Kofi a card with an address. "Take this to the hospital. They'll treat your sister. No cost." Kofi's mind reeled. Was this a trick? But Langston's gaze held no deceit, only a quiet pain that mirrored Kofi's own. At the hospital, Amara was admitted immediately, her fever breaking within days. The watch, Langston later revealed, was a decoy, a test for thieves, worthless but insured for millions. He didn't need it, but he needed to know who was desperate enough to try. Kofi's act of desperation had cracked open Langston's guarded heart, and the billionaire's response stunned the world. News outlets ran wild with the story. Starving boy steals, billionaire saves sister. Langston funded Amara's care and more school, a new home, a future. Kofi never forgot that night, the weight of the watch, or the weight of Langston's choice. He learned that desperation can lead to darkness, but it can also spark mercy. The world watched, some cheering, others skeptical, but for Kofi, the lesson was simple. Even in a city of broken dreams, one act of courage could rewrite a story's end. Yindi.